Hi, everyone. Are you guys ready for this? Yes? All right, cool. Well, I'm going to put on my official reporting glasses.
Oh, I want to wear glasses.
Well, I was going to say you are an accessory queen,
Oh,
so
God.
just saying.
But then I would be like fooling everyone because I don't need glasses. So it would be to like be cool.
Well, I was like, who knows? Maybe these are fake. Just saying. Okay, so let's start with an easy question.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's a good way to begin in general, right?
Sure.
When you meet someone on the street and they say, Rachel, it's nice to meet you. What do you do? How do you respond?
It's so funny because in theory, that's such an easy question. But one that I get asked very often, and I literally go like this, it like takes me a minute. I'm like, I'm a little bit, I was a stylist, I have a media business, and then I look at Roger, I'm like, babe, what am I? You know, and then he's like, my wife. I like to say now I'm a fashion entrepreneur, I'm a CEO. I'm a fashion media entrepreneur, and I feel like the worlds are all connected now. So I would say started as a stylist, and that's what I am now.
Now you're here.
But I have to say it's an easy question. The funny thing is, for the first part of my career, 15 years, probably people would say, what do you do? And I would say, I'm a stylist. And they would say, oh, you do hair. And I would say no, because they did not know what a stylist was.
Right, because it used to be, back in the day, like this little secret
100%.
that people didn't talk about. It was just this like perception of effortless, like I'm just wearing this and I did this all myself.
Yes.
When it really took you, a full team, like and all of your resources to put said look together.
Yes, I would say PSM. And if you don't know what that stands for, it means pre-social media. And you know, it's funny because I think about how different my career would have been if there was social media at that time.
What do you think, how would it be different?
It almost would have been like on steroids, you know, because, you know, my job, as you said, was to be a stylist, which is a very behind-the-scenes job. There was never an intention to be in front. So it was very like, okay, I'm this secret person that stands behind people, pulls their chains, decides what they wear, you know, and all this stuff, but it was very much service and very much a secret. And to your point, it was that these people were going in front of these audiences just dressed with hair and makeup. And it wasn't like, oh, guess what, I dressed this person. Now, you know, you have all of these actors and musicians posting their glam teams, posting their stylists.
Giving credit where credit's due.
Giving credit. Yeah, that was not my life at all. It was very like, I can't talk about anyone. You know, it's very secret.
It's sort of like styling used to be the current plastic surgeon.
100%.
Where it's that thing, you're like, no, I drink a lot of water and I get good sleep. It's
I sleep a lot.
Yeah, I'm just ageless naturally.
Oh my God, it's this new product. It's amazing.
It's potatoes.
Honey, no product is doing that.
So let's go back to sort of the early days of styling. So one of the things that I find super interesting is the fact that you were such a pioneer when it comes to celebrity styling. I remember, you know, you started in magazines.
Yep.
At YM?
I did. YM magazine. A lot of you may have never heard of it. It's like 17.
Do you guys know YM? Okay,
oh,
thank you.
Okay, maybe.
Thank you. Good.
Okay, fair enough. That was my first and only job.
And what made you decide to go to celebrity styling? Because especially at that time, celebrity styling was considered less than. It was not the glamorous thing. It was considered like editorial was everything.
Correct.
And then celebrity was like, you're kind of selling out a little bit.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And the truth is that, so I started and for about 3 years, I worked my way up at a magazine and I worked, you know, I got paid, I mean, nothing with nothing you could ever eat or live on. But I lived for it. And I turned 25 and I said, I need more. I'm never going to make more money doing this. And all the jobs that I wanted, my peers were in, you know, at Mademoiselle or Marie Claire or Glamour or wherever.
And
so
you could look ahead, like, because I grew up in
100%,
magazines
sure,
too. You could
just
look
like
ahead
you.
and see what the next level and the next level, and you realize like it topped out at a certain place.
100%. And if no one was leaving the job you wanted, you knew you were never getting said job.
Yeah, there were like 10 jobs in the whole industry.
100%. True story. So I basically just said, okay, I'm going to close my eyes, hold my nose, jump. And I did when I was 25. And it was actually Tommy Hilfiger gave me a big break, and he put me on this huge ad campaign here in Austin, funny enough.
No way.
Yes, we shot the first week here in Austin and the
to
second
see
week in LA. It was this 2-week job with all of these young actors, and I'd never done anything that big, and it was the scariest moment of my career. But it was at that point after I did it, I fell so in love with what I was doing, and I loved the idea of working with people. Not that models aren't people, because they are very much people, but in the old days, it was like, okay, it was a very different situation. It was like, go to South Beach, shoot 26 photos in 5 minutes, and on $100 and run. Yeah. And when I came here, I started to work here, and I loved it so much. I loved the collaborative process. I loved creating those fairy tale moments. I loved saying, who do you want to be on the carpet today? Who do you want to okay, what is the most glamorous you could ever look or feel in your life? Can I create that moment with you? And when I started doing that, I just said, this is the most rewarding thing of my life, and I can do this every minute of every day forever.
I mean, that's kind of amazing, right?
It was the best thing ever.
So you were a pioneer in the way that you decided to work with celebrities really early on when people were not doing that, and certainly not as openly. You were also a real pioneer when it came to television. I was thinking back, because it's like, I've known you for ages.
Forever.
Like, I've followed your career forever. And I realized, I was like, TV is now this very acceptable and desired medium, but it also, especially reality, was not considered something desirous, but you were very early to understand the power of television. So what made you decide to do a show?
Interesting, very good question, because it was sort of this very bizarre accident. It was the thing that I said I'd never do, along with writing books and half the other things I've ever done. So note to self, never say never, that you'll never do anything, because you will absolutely end up doing it. The show was the thing that I set out to, funny enough, to your earlier point. A lot of you may not know who this woman is, but there was a woman called Elsa Clinch, who I grew up watching on CNN Style. I worshipped her. I was like, she is living my dream. She is talking to Karl Lagerfeld. She's talking to John Galliano. She's talking to, Angela Missoni. I mean, all of these designers that I lived and died for. And I was like, I want to be her, because I want to talk to these people. So that was my idea. I said, okay, I want to do a show where I can interview designers, get into their minds, and show all the people in the world what goes on behind the scenes and the brilliance of all these designers. Cut to, joined a production, teamed up with a producer, and lo and behold, what came out of that was the Rachel Zoe Project. So things don't always work out like you plan them.
Sometimes they work out better.
Sometimes they work out better. I think what happened was I was one of maybe a few people that would have been interested in doing the original show that I wanted to do. I still find it fascinating, and I would love to watch that show all day, every day. But the reality of it is, no pun intended, what I realized is that being human and being real and showing people sometimes your real self is okay. I found that boundaries were very important with that. I found that my goal with that show was to give people a look at the inside of the fashion world and sort of uncover a little bit of the mystery of how these things happen. How does sketch get to design, get to the red carpet, get to a runway? And I was determined to kind of show that to people, and I think those were definitely my favorite episodes.
And I think too that you really did it. You opened this door and showed people how the whole process, how it goes from this beautiful image on TV or this beautiful image from a magazine, from that red carpet.
How's it happen?
What's the backstory on all of it? And it was so innovative, because no one wanted to discuss the process before or share the credit.
That was the thing, and I think to your point, it was not okay. It was not easy for me to do that show. It was like 100 phone calls to a friend or a client, please, it'll take 5 minutes of your time. You don't even need hair and makeup. I'll drive you. I'll dress you. I'll do anything. I'll feed you. I'll caffeinate you, whatever you need to just appear for 10 minutes. And now I feel like if I were starting a show today, it would be okay, we want to get content backstage. Okay, can we,
Done.
It's just a totally different time and experience now. It just is. But to your point, I think funny enough, pioneer is this great thing, I think, in a lot of ways. And then also sometimes you're like, God, if I was doing this now, it would be so much easier than it was, you know?
You're like, I'd like to be a pioneer, but like number 2. So like you cut down all of the branches.
Totally, make the mistakes.
And then I will be early and still there, but like without quite as much of the craziness.
Totally. No, it's true. It's true.
The
Raj
case
and I
for
talk
number
about
2.
this. I mean, do you want to be the first? Yes. But do you? Not sure. Sometimes. But, you know, but there was no plan for it. There really wasn't. Like everything in my life, there really was no set plan.
Okay,
ever.
so that leads me to another question, which is like, how do you make some of these decisions? So like, is it just like starting, you know, a digital media brand when people were still like, ew, about the internet, at least in the fashion world?
Yes, they were.
I mean, that took a very long time to get people to open their minds to the possibilities of digital being cool.
Yes.
But you decided to do that very early on too. What is it that, what is the little voice in your head that decides to do this stuff early? Is it like, do you like risks? Is it Roger?
I mean, if you want the truth, I could say me being immersed in my fashion part of my business and all things fashion, beauty, lifestyle, obsessed and everything, there is that little voice. When it came to launching the media business, which was Roger, because that was his world very much, you know, starting the internet, you know, Internet Week and the Webby Awards and all of those things, that was very much his world. And I, to your point, was a little bit like, babe, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. What are you telling me? And we would sit and we would talk about it all the time. Be like, there is a way that you can communicate with your audience, the people that want to hear what you have to say. There is a better way to talk to them. And I said, well, I just want to teach women how to like look like their best selves, feel like their best selves, and I want them to know you don't have to be rich, you don't have to be famous, whatever. And he said, okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to send a newsletter, a daily newsletter, an email, and basically it really launched from there, you know. And it was me, Roger, and someone you know, Jessica Mento, just sitting there on my balcony of my apartment and doing this, and I would like edit the copy and. You know, it's kind of funny because I speak in superlatives very often. And, you know, we would find that on the letter, it would be like 100 exclamation points. And Roger would be like, I'm like, well, I don't know. That's how I talk. I feel like if it just says a period, it has no emphasis. You know, but not like 100 exclamation points, right? Like, I don't know.
There's something between none and 100.
I'm like a walking exclamation point. I am. That's the only way I know how to like express myself. That's true. Like, I feel like, I don't know.
I mean, one of the great things, too, that you keep doing is, and I think the great thing about being early on something is that not everyone's watching.
True.
Necessarily,
It's
because
true.
there's not as much pressure on what, oh, this could be this huge thing.
Totally.
You're kind of just like figuring stuff out.
It's like a long beta test. It's like, you know, it's funny because now I do this series on Instagram every Sunday morning, Real Life with Rachel Zoe.
Do you guys watch it? Because I watch it, and it's amazing. It is delightful. It's like my morning coffee on Sundays.
I hope that you watch it while you're caffeinating. That was the idea. But I think something like that, I think we had about 40 episodes before we actually told anyone we were doing it, to your point. And I like to do things for a while before anyone knows about them, because I think you can do things a little bit under the radar and still get a sense for what's happening and use that feedback to, like I said, like just keep beta testing and sort of like, okay, this had a lot of views, this didn't. They have no interest in this, but they love this. Okay. Meanwhile, real life is literally like whoever has an iPhone next to me, we're like just, you know, filming what, you know, it actually is real life. That's why my team was like, what should we call it? I'm like, real life. This is the real stuff, right? So, you know, white sequins in Texas.
How do you deal with that, though?
Real life. I don't know. I just got up this morning and it was like white sequins in Texas. It felt right.
That's a good, is this going to be an episode?
Right?
That's a good one.
100%. Next week's
Subtitle.
episode is white sequins in Texas.
There you go.
Full stop.
But you're a Virgo.
As are you.
Yes. So this is why I know that it's like, oh, sorry. I was just like formulating questions and leaving you hanging.
Sorry.
What a jerk.
Sorry.
So I know that like I sweat the small stuff.
Everything.
Like the
I
details
sweat everything.
are really important.
Yes.
How do you let go when you're trying something new, and also especially now when you're trying something new in front of millions of people, and it's not the way it used to be where it was like you could try something fully under the radar. Like there's no fully under the radar anymore in this social media centric world, right?
I would agree with that. It's a really good point, and the fact is I think anyone on the inside of my life would tell you that if we come off a really successful something, I don't really say like, oh my God, that was amazing. I'm like, oh my God, did you see that light fall? Oh my God, did you see the girl trip? Oh my God, you guys, the audio went dead. Oh my God, da-da-da. You know, and I definitely obsess over, oh my God, she didn't change her shoe in time to walk the runway. You know, I definitely obsess over every little thing. And, you know, I try to keep it mostly internal, mostly. But, you know, I think the same way that I obsessed over Cameron Diaz's Oscar shoe is the same way I obsess over, you know, the color of, you know, the background on our site, like on the Zoe report. Okay, our colors this season are going to be pink, da-da-da-da-da. And then I'm like, that shade is not okay.
It's not the right pink.
Not okay. It's not okay. Like, that's more like it washes everybody out. It's a sad color. It makes me sad, right? So this needs to be blushy because it's a rose, and then it would be like a dusty rose versus like, you know, a total nude.
Sad pink.
A sad pink. And
No
there
one
are
likes
sad
sad
pinks. There are sad pinks, you guys. There are, I'm telling you. I know that's weird, but there are sad shades of pink.
It's like the mean reds, the sad pinks.
Totally. I do. I'm telling you, yeah, by the way, there are mean reds. There are.
Speaking of mean reds, now you are looking at, so you were also working on and successful at being a designer, which is also,
I
so
love
I was
it.
like, so just the fact that you went stylist, the fact that you have written books, which we will get to as well, the fact that you have the Zoe report in the digital world, and then you're like, yeah, on top of all of that, I'm actually going to be a designer as well. How did you decide to make that pivot, and do you love it as much as I do from afar?
I live for it. I do. I honestly live for it because I'm living my best life doing that. Because I think coming up in fashion and being a stylist and designing with so many designers and being able to collaborate on these incredible things, I think for me to be able to start from inception, from sketch with fabrics and my team and like bringing it to life, putting it on a runway, styling the F out of each collection, which is so much fun. And then when the ultimate dream happens and you run into a total stranger who has no incentive to wear your clothes, wearing my clothes. You know, it's not a favor from my friend and whatever. It's literally someone that I don't know wearing my outfit, and I just like lose my mind. It is the most incredible thing ever. I love it.
We call that with our Target collection when we see someone wearing it out and about. We call it like who, what, where in the wild.
Yes.
Like I saw it in the wild.
Oh my God,
like
yes.
Just on someone crossing the street.
Totally.
And it is a really amazing feeling.
I've seen a lot of your collection in the wild.
It's exciting when that happens.
I love it.
And don't you notice it at like 1,000 paces?
It's the craziest thing
it's
ever.
Almost creepy. Where
there
you're
was
like,
this woman
I see
at
you.
dinner wearing my like platinum sequin suit jacket, and I was like, oh my God, that's mine. And she was like, I know. And I was like, I swear I'm not psychotic. This is really cool. Can we take a picture? But she was really funny, and she was like, yeah, I'll take a picture with you. You know, it's like a totally weird moment, but I love it.
I'm sure she was also really excited. You're like, hi, I'd like to take a picture with you.
Totally.
In my thing.
I think I caught her off guard a little. She thought it was a slight freak, I think. But she was like, yeah, I was going to ask you to take a picture. I was like, well, okay, cool. Let's just do it.
That works out well for
So
you.
then we're good. We're good. We're ready to go. I saved you the awkward moment, and I did it for you. Cool. Cool.
So I feel like one of your like amazing signatures is a certain level of glam that you bring to everything that you do. How do you infuse your collection with that?
You know, it's a great question because when I started off, I launched everything that was like true to me, true to me, true to me. I love this collection so much. And then over the last 7 years, there have been a lot of different iterations of what I think this collection should be. Okay, everybody's doing these like asymmetrical da-da-da dresses, like that's the trend. Okay, what's the Rachel Zoe version of that? Okay, asymmetrical might mean one shoulder, put sequins all over it, like da-da-da, and make it true to me, right? And what I realized over the years is that I have to stick to what I know, and I have to stick to what's true to me as a designer, as a stylist, but also what resonates between me and my consumer, right? Because ultimately what I've learned, this may not come as a shock to a lot of you, but people don't come to me for basics. They come to me for sequins, paillettes, gold suits, fringe, fur, faux. You know, but they want drama, they want novelty, and I love that because what we have found was that our customer wants something that is special, has value, and is ultimately glamorous, whether it's for day or night, or day to night, which is how I try to design. But I have to infuse glamour into the collection because I don't know what else to do. I think something looks empty if it doesn't have a pop of glamour on it. It has to have like a metallic thread, and then I'm happy. It has to have something on it that's shiny, or something on it that says like, this is sexy, this is exciting. When this walks into a room, someone's gonna look at it,
And that's one of the things that I really love about your personal style, about the collection, about your work, is that it's intentional.
Always.
And I think that like there's an effortlessness to it, but at the same time, you are unabashedly like, I wore this on purpose. And that's something that, owning that is something that not everyone does. And it's something that's so refreshing and so cool, and also so true to your DNA, where it's like, maybe I just threw on this sequin jacket with these jeans, but I still threw on a sequin jacket, so like it's not that casual.
Well, I think to that point, it's funny. The other day I ran into a mutual friend of ours, Erin Foster, give you a shout out. But I ran into her and we were at this like yogurt place, and she was like, had just worked out or whatever. I don't work out, so I'm not in workout clothes. But I was out with the boys and we're at this ice cream place, and I was just wearing my normal like whatever. I got dressed literally in 4 minutes. It was like black tux pants and a sweater, and I threw on this big white,
super cash,
big white furry thing, and I put that on, and I literally jumped into the car. Roger picked me up, and I left. And Roger like looked at me. He was like, "Seriously?" I'm like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." Roger almost doesn't notice anymore, and obviously 6-inch heels. But Erin was literally like, "What would happen if you put on t-shirt and Converse?" And I literally was like, "I have no idea."
I think your feet might fall off.
By the way, foot doctor told me I should never wear flats.
Why?
Because my feet would spasm. They are so used to being like this that this will cause a medical problem on my foot. True story. And I looked at this doctor and I said, "Can I press record on that?" Because my mom's like, "Oh my God, you're gonna have such back problems." And Roger's like, "Can't you wear like sneakers to a soccer game?" And I'm like, "I don't understand."
What do you wear to a soccer game?
Sometimes it's a maxi dress in the summer with a pair of wedges, and sometimes it's, a fur and a
boot. All right. But I like that. Like you just have to be you.
I have to be me because that look takes me 5 minutes. It would take me 45 minutes to figure out what not to do. It would be harder for me to say, put on leisure clothes right now.
Could you please do that for April Fools?
Totally.
That
would be amazing.
You've got enough time to plan it.
I am so going into my office in like Converse and workout clothes. I'd have to borrow some sweats.
Do you not own sweats?
Do you?
No.
Okay.
Well, but it's not about me. It's about. No, I love that Karl Lagerfeld has that quote that if you're wearing sweats, you've given up on life, and I don't agree with that. But I don't wear pants, so.
Hillary, that's really funny. I've only ever seen you in a skirt or a dress.
Yeah, I love them. I just don't wear them.
I don't wear minis.
We all have our things.
Fun fact: we all have our fashion fun facts, you guys.
Okay, back to official questions. So obviously my focus has been on some of these big leaps, like leaping from editorial to styling, leaping into the digital world, leaping into having your own line. I'm sure that I'm guessing, there might be some leaps that maybe I don't know about. Have you ever decided to try something out and then realize like, no, that's actually not for me?
Of course.
And what was it?
A lot.
What didn't pan out quite the way you imagined?
I think
sometimes it's a great thing.
It's a great thing, actually. And I think it's looking at life and saying, okay, sometimes you got to throw a bunch of blank to the wall and see what sticks, right? Spaghetti. Great. So, I do, the answer is there are a lot. There's things from when I decided that leather pants didn't need a certain level of durability to perform on stage on a pop star. And then they ripped right down the middle in the crotch area at Madison Square Garden. Winning. That was a real styling win for me. And so there are things like that in the media business, in the box of style business, in my collection business. There have been collections that, I put out and I was like, God, I was trying to be someone that I wasn't. That collection was really not me. That was me trying to please too many.
Free.
It was too sequin-free. That's exactly, that was the problem in hindsight. There was no shine, and there was no sequin, no fringe, no metallics.
You needed more texture.
Total fail. Total fail. But yeah, so I think in every area, there have been so many things that were a leap where I fell hard, you know?
I'm one of those people that I feel like I learn the most from when I screw up.
100%.
Like, I wish I was the sort of person who like didn't have to touch the hot stove.
Yes.
And get burned
100%.
to know, but it just doesn't actually
it's
work
a Virgo
that
thing.
way.
It's
Yeah,
a Virgo
I was
thing.
I'm like, I know everyone else did this and it didn't work for them, but I'm going to try it anyway. I wish I could avoid that sometimes.
Me too.
But the good part of that is then I think when you have those hard moments, it makes you understand in a deeper way who you are and what your personal mission is and what your work mission is, that just avoiding it might not, like to really have fallen in it. You're like, okay, I unfortunately know the answer to that.
I agree with you, and I think to that point, I think in all areas of my career, there have been moments where I have tried to please too many people. And I think when you try to please too many people and be all things to all people, whether it's as a designer, whether it's having a media business, whether it's with your box of style, whatever business you're in, when you're trying to please all parties, you will never win. Yeah. You have to keep your message of what you believe in and what you stand for strong. And consistent. You know, you can like go a little right, go a little left, but you have to stay here and you have to stay focused. And you can't kind of be distracted about what other people are doing, because that really messes you up.
I remember when like flash sales were a big thing, and there was a moment where it was like everyone was in our ear saying like, "You guys should have a flash sale. You should have a flash sale." And I was like, "We just
it's not us."
No, and but it's hard because you don't want to be the person who
didn't do it,
didn't invest in the great thing that then becomes the thing that takes someone to the next level. But I do think that that's something that, through learning things the hard way, it really starts to resonate that you have to 100%. Stay true to yourself.
It's really scary too.
Yeah, all of this is deathly scary.
It's all scary. No, it is.
So I have been to your office a number of times, and I love the culture there. And culture is something that I think about a lot with our company because I came up in a company that
very
didn't
different
have any
culture.
Yeah, the culture in magazines, print magazines back in the day was
would be illegal now.
Yeah, yeah, that is about the shape of it. So I think about culture a lot now, and I'm wondering like how the culture in your office has changed over the years as your priorities and interests and focus have changed, and what parts you love right now.
I would say,
because like you had a nursery at one point.
Yes,
right?
I did have a nursery, and I would have a nursery again if you work for me, Hillary. Just come on over.
I have a baby.
Yeah, by the way, I wasn't going to bring that up, but Hillary is now a married mother, baller, all of the above.
It's just funny because I didn't want kids my whole life, and now I have one, and I love him.
And bonus, she loves him.
And I like him, which is also the nice part. We were talking about this backstage.
Amazing.
It's like, I didn't expect to like him, but
she's
he's really
just
nice.
all smile. She knew she'd love him, but she wasn't sure she'd like him. I feel that way about Roger most of the time. I like love him so deeply, but I'm like, today I definitely do not like you at all.
I feel like that's very reasonable.
You know, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that is reasonable.
But like, when we, back in the day, like pre-kids, like when the company was smaller, and it was all like work parties and this and that, and then all of a sudden priorities start to shift. So how do you change your company culture as you have evolved?
It's very interesting because I think as a stylist, I had no work culture. I just worked. It was literally like, I was never not on. I used to say I was like this doctor, this like fashion doctor on call. It's like
concierge
if there was a fitting at 2 a.m. in the middle of Texas, okay, that's where I'm going. Like there was never, I missed every wedding show, every birthday. And it was weird because I kind of expected the same of my team. And I think now having a whole huge team and having all of these incredible people that work with me, ultimately, if you hire great people and you surround yourself with incredible people, let them do what they do. Don't micromanage them. And I've really learned that over the last, I would say, decade.
Oh, that's hard as a Virgo.
It really is. But what I've realized is, and I think anyone who works with us would tell you, like, we really don't micromanage. The only time I micromanage is when you feel like someone's not doing a good job. And all of a sudden you feel like, okay, I didn't know I had to do that I didn't know I had to like watch you do that and make sure it was done right. Okay. And so I think there's those moments, but I would say in terms of a culture, definitely a family culture, definitely a culture where, you know, embrace everyone in terms of like, okay, if you're trying to have a baby, if you have a baby, if you are going through a really hard time in your life, if someone, God forbid, is ill, like, do whatever you need. You know, you are never going to get guilt from Roger and I or anyone about that. I believe that people are their best when they can govern themselves in a way sometimes. I do, however, think there are boundaries to that. And I think coming up in the traditional way of life in career, pre-now, I think Raj and I really try and balance that. We do believe you should be in the office most of the time. We do believe that when we say, okay, let's have a meeting, like that everyone's actually there. It's not like, okay, this was someone's flex day or this was someone's whatever day. And, you know, so I think it's finding what works best and what's most effective in your company. But if I had more babies in my company right now, I would open that nursery right back up. We had like 6 babies in a year.
What was in the water over there?
I don't know, but people were really scared to drink it. Some of the girls were taking extra, like, you know, things, precautions. Literally, they like walked in and I was like, you're next. He was like, oh my God, I'm not ready. So yeah, there was a moment that it was a really busy time at Rachel Zoe Inc., but it was like the best year ever. It was like filled with babies. It was the best. Babies make people happy. I encourage all of you who can make that decision to put nurseries in your office and give people that opportunity to take their babies to work. And by the way, not everyone takes it because some people like to have work separate. A lot of people really like that. I think it's whatever works for you, but have the option. I think it's a really important thing. I really do.
Yay.
Stand by it forever.
I like that. So I love my husband dearly, but the thought of working with Jonathan fills me with such anxiety, and because he is a Taurus, and there is just like it's a lot.
Yeah.
Roger is amazing. Roger is here. Roger is amazing. But how do you guys work together? I can't comprehend. I mean, it seems like speaking of like, there's no division. It's like it's
no
work
division.
and home.
We
and
literally
all of
have
that.
no division. We talk
How
about
do you
this all the
negotiate
time.
that?
It's a very strange thing. Well, this is what happened. We didn't start together like that. But for those of you that don't know, we are together almost 27 years and married for 20. So with that said, Roger started as an investment banker and then ultimately a media entrepreneur early on. And I was styling my booty off. And then after kind of the show and all this other stuff, you know, his obsession with the internet and all of these things, he was basically like, it needs to be more, you know? And I was like, well, I don't know how to do that, and I don't have time to take a shower, so I don't know how this is happening.
So like, I'm not learning code yet.
No, totally. And then Roger was like, you know, we were very hesitant, to be honest. But then it was sort of like, I can't breathe without you. We traveled together, and we hated being apart. So it was sort of like, okay, what's the solution? Let's just try and baby step into this. And then all of a sudden it was like, baby. All of a sudden it just happened, and then we actually had babies. And so, you know, what we always say is the funny thing is, work is hard, life is hard, everything around us is hard, but he and I are easy. We almost just, that's like what we know, that's what we do. That said, for those of you that are young, I apologize if you don't know this reference, but we are a lot like Lucy and Ricky. And if any of you didn't see I Love Lucy, it's like one of the greatest shows ever. But I have Lucy moments, he has Ricky moments, you know, and I think we bicker, but I think I'd rather bicker with someone who I know loves me forever than someone who might walk out the door and be like, later, I'm over you. But I know if I know one thing about our business, no matter what, like he and I are fine, you know? And so I think the important thing is to be able to, after a really rough day, get in the car on the way home and be like, I want Chinese food. I don't. Okay, what did Skylar do at school? You know, so it's cool. And what's great is we are a unit and we get to travel together and we get to do things together. But there are times where I want to literally punch him in the face.
I was gonna say, like, but like, what
literally.
And what do you do in those moments? Like, do you have?
I walk out of the room.
Oh, right, that makes sense. Like, do you have special boundaries of we don't talk about work between this time and this time?
No, we actually talk about work until 2 in the morning. Roger literally goes upstairs to this room off of our bedroom where he watches TV, and he's like, okay, I'm done for the night. I'm like, no, you're not, come back in. He's like, can I just have my ice cream now? And I'm like, no, 10 more minutes. What happened in the meeting with this person? So the answer is Roger's better at that boundary. I think as a Virgo, I'm not as good as that boundary. He's a Libra, so he's like, okay, I'm done.
He's like, I need my balance.
Totally. But I think for us, it's important. I think our kids enable us to shut work off. So when we go home and it's...
Because they force you to be present.
100%. And you want to be. The last thing you want to do, and Roger will sometimes start this really intense business conversation at 7 in the morning when I'm packing their lunches, and I'm like, seriously? Don't you think you can wait an hour? Because I'm not going to give you my attention right now. And Kai is just drooling on me, and Skylar's yelling at me, and so I think it's finding that, but it is hard to separate. But I think I prefer it.
But it's cumulatively additive.
It is.
At the end of the day.
It is, and I do find that some of our best decisions have been made at 1 in the morning. The box of style, actually, that decision was made at literally 1 or 2 in the morning.
Explain how that happened.
Okay. We were awake. We had just got home from somewhere, and I was on my laptop in bed, and Roger literally came out, and he's literally like, babe, okay. And literally it was dark. I'm like, I can't even see you. So I put on my phone light, and I was like, what are you about to say? And he literally was like, okay. So curating all of these things, everyone wants this from you. Everyone wants to feel like they were styled by you. And I'm like, and he's like, they can be. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Styling.
And we talked about this, and literally we went in the next day and presented it to the team, and it was literally this light bulb moment. And it's been tremendously successful for us. And I think when Roger can do what he does and I can do what I do best, and we can actually marry those things in the literal sense, I think that's when the best things happen. I think that's when the magic happens. But I do love yelling at him still. I have to stop telling him to talk. I have to always tell him to stop talking. And I would say that's our biggest issue out at anywhere. But I think, anyone who knows Roger, he just doesn't stop talking. That's a thing. He'll talk to anybody. Anyone who needs to talk, go to Roger.
Well, I remember during Fashion Week at some point in time when we were at the Greenwich Hotel, and we were with Roger and Catherine and Justin probably.
Remember those days?
Yes, I do.
That was fun. I missed
and
those
it was
days.
right when you were getting on Instagram. And
Sorry.
I remember, and so for us, a lot of the technology and a lot of social we learned from our interns. I remember our interns sat us down and explained Twitter to us once upon a time ago. And I just remember being very confused by 140 characters. Why that? Why that?
That really went over my head too.
That seems so arbitrary. Why that? Anyway, and Instagram was becoming a thing, and I feel like you took to it super quickly, but you were having a moment of, I just remember you took a picture and you handed your phone to Roger, and you just put it on the thing.
Do something. do something with this photo.
Do the thing.
Yes.
Obviously, you are completely fluent and
now
a rock star at it now. But how do you feel about social in general and tech, and how it's changed your day to day?
It's an interesting question, because Roger tried many times to teach me how to tweet. And I was somewhat resistant. The same way you don't let your dad teach you how to drive, you let your boyfriend teach you how to drive, right? So I was on a shoot, and funny enough, friendly with Ashton Kutcher and whatever, he is a tech, for those of you that don't know, early digi savvy human. And Ashton was determined to teach me how to post and do a tweet. And he sat me down, and he literally sat with me and taught it to me, and until I could do it. And he wouldn't let me get up until I learned how to do it. And so it was actually him that taught me how to actually do my own tweet. Then I became slightly obsessed with it, like everybody else. But I also feared it, because it felt very exposing, and that was terrifying to me. And I was like, wait, if I post this, all of these people are going to see it. And what if I don't like it? What if people don't like it? And it took me a minute to really understand.
Do you have a lot of tweets in your draft folder?
Oh my God, yeah. I have a lot of Instagram save drafts too, because it's like, sometimes I'm like, oh God, did I spell that wrong? Because I have this problem where like, I post way late at night, I write it, and then I wake up and I'm like, I just spoke like another language. Like it was like 1 in the morning and I had insomnia and I decided to randomly post. And I wake up and literally my team is like, seriously? I'm like, oh my God, what happened? I like forgot that I even posted.
Gramming.
Totally. Insomnia-gramming. But yeah, so social media, I can't imagine life or business without it at this point.
So it doesn't feel like something you have to keep up with. It's something that you still enjoy.
No, I think it's both.
Is it both?
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's both. I find myself in the middle of both because I think it's got this incredible power. And what I love about social media is how much we can use our voices in the best way and however way, whatever way we want to. If we feel strongly about something, we have every right to put that on our social and put that message out there.
It's amazing though. It really is like, I feel like you can change sort of, not to sound super California and hippy dippy, but like I do think that you can change the energy coming to you in certain
100%.
ways. Like you can put it out there on social and it comes back to you in different, interesting, amazing forms.
Before it was only through television, right? Theoretically. And now you could say, okay, this is happening right now. Okay, this movement is happening outside our door. Let's go film it. Let's post it. There you go. So there is this immediacy that I love. There is this strength in the way you can speak and project a message. But then I also think sometimes you just want to like, I just want to be present where I am. And
have you ever taken like a vacation from it?
Yes, and I felt guilty. I did. I felt guilty because I felt like, God, I'm supposed to be posting this many times and this many things. And I feel like, you know, and there's so many people that are so great at it. Like Jen Akin is like incredible at social media. I have like social media heroes. I do feel that if I didn't have young children, I would be more active. But when I'm with my children, I don't want to be posting. I want to be with them. Now, of course, they're obsessed with it. Mom, what, like, are you going to Instagram that? I'm like, oh, God. Literally this morning, Skylar asked me on my way to do Facebook Live. He's like, so are you going on television? I'm like, different. I'm like, it's going to be on Facebook. And he was like,
I saw you explaining that in your Instagram stories to him just to make this a little more meta.
That was an interesting conversation. And someone was shooting me, talking to him, shooting them, shooting me on FaceTime. You guys, it's crazy. So I have this weird, I think, love, hate, pressure, upkeep, you know. I think it's a never-ending conversation. I think there's days where I live for it, and there's days where I just want to like.
Have you ever connected with someone for that in a way that's been beneficial for work? Like, for example.
That I didn't know, you mean?
Like I ended up creating a relationship with Oscar de la Renta's team, and eventually meeting Mr. de la Renta because of Twitter. And because I used to run What Wears Twitter for many years until we realized that tweeting Rihanna lyrics at 3 in the morning is not actually a strategy.
On 7 glasses of champs.
Yeah, I mean maybe 8.
Maybe 8.
And but I became friends with his head of PR,
Erica, who's the best.
And ended up, like, I remember the first time I was invited to the show, I couldn't believe that was happening. And to meet him, and
I saw you there.
It was, and I mean, I cried like a dork.
I cried at every Oscar show because I am a dork.
Because he's just the greatest.
He's the greatest ever.
But have you ever had a moment like that where something's in social, whether it connected you with a client or a store that you might not have known?
Well, now with the direct messaging, it's a lot easier because there are a lot of people that I didn't even know knew my name. Contacting me through DM, which is amazing, and then you do connect, slide into the DM. So I like that. William, I don't know if you've ever heard of William Bailey, who is a vintage dealer in London, and he's incredible. It sounds like a drug dealer. He's this amazing. By the way, he does deal drugs for people that love vintage. Like, it's vintage drugs. It's like the most beautiful vintage clothes in the world. But I, at first, thought he was this creepy weirdo that was like stalking me on Twitter, and then he showed up at this appearance when I was in London and started talking to Roger and was like, hey, you guys should come by my shop. Little did I know, it was this shop of like the most magical vintage, and I've never spent more time and more money in one stop in my entire shopping life.
Whoa.
And we have since become incredible friends. He's this magical human. He's a tremendous success. But that's just one example. I mean, there's probably probably many more, but what I feel like is so funny about social media is that, you know, someone will comment on your social and therefore you feel like you know them because you have mutual friends. Then you see them in real life and you're like, oh, hey, like we know each other, but you don't, you know? And that happened to me with, do you know Sarah Wright Olsen? She's an actress, she's amazing. I fell in love with her on her mommy blog and I was like, I love her. And then we had mutual friends and then I ran into her and now we're really good friends and she's awesome. So I think, yeah, the answer is yes, I have. And I love it. And I think that's one of the magical things about it.
Well, we only have another 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I have been tasked with opening it up to you guys, and we have some questions.
Okay.
If you want to do some little Q&A.
Sure.
So there's a screen up here where apparently you guys have been sending questions, and I'm just going to start asking some of them.
Yes, do it.
So it's been an awesome year for plus size fashion.
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah. I agree with you. With more designers creating fashion forward looks. Do you think more designers should adapt?
Yes, I do, and I know I am, and have, and moving forward, very excited about that initiative for us, and I couldn't be more excited about it. Everybody should be able to wear everything they want.
I agree. Like our Target collection is all sizes, and I have to say, like the most feedback I get is about the plus size women feeling excited about
the greatest
having
thing ever.
more options. I feel like everyone should just have options. You like options.
I like options, and everyone. I feel like everybody should be able to have the same options. I do. I really believe that, and I think any size is beautiful. So, I mean, I think great.
Okay, so next question submitted. With the ever-growing amount of discarded fast fashion, what ways can the industry encourage consumers to buy investment or expensive pieces?
I think that investing in a piece that you know you will wear forever and ever, or even past the next 6 months, is a good thing.
How do you know that, though?
Because you know. You have to know. You know.
How do you know? Because you know.
Because you know. You have to know because you have to know when you look at something. I could see myself wearing this in 2 years from now. I could see myself never being sick of wearing this. I always say, spend the money on the classics. Spend the money on the things like, I am telling you, I wear a good black blazer or leather jacket or a long duster coat or something that I got 15 years ago, so 20 years ago.
Is it outerwear for you that is the investment?
Outerwear, I think bags, but I think most of the basics, you don't have to spend a lot of money on. You really don't. And I think fast fashion has come so far, and there's so much access to great things like your collection for Target. I mean, it's like, I feel like mixing high and low is amazing. I think you get creative. I think everybody should be creative, but I think spend the money on the pieces that you know will last time. Don't spend a ton of money on like the electric blue sequin. Love the pump. Spend money on those. Or those Target, or those yours.
No.
They're beautiful. But anyway, I think really figure out what works best for your personal style, but I really think it's worth it to invest in classics, always. You'll never regret it.
What in your closet is the thing that, like at the time when you bought it, it made you a little bit nervous about buying, but that you have worn the hell out of? I always think of it, so I'm obsessed with the concept of price per wear, and I always think about—
Of course you are.
Yes.
Of course you are.
Yes.
You sound like Roger. This is why you guys are friends. Price per wear. Oh my God, I wish I thought about that.
But I like it because it's a way of justifying the use to myself, where I'm like, okay, I had a really hard time around like wedding things because it's like, this is one-time use stuff.
Sure.
But if it's a bag that I'm going to wear every single day, even if it is more expensive, if I'm wearing it for years on the daily or on the reg at least, then all of a sudden it's like, that's much better than the less expensive bag that I buy that then just it's my closet and I don't actually wear.
Or a dress you can style a million different ways, then it's worth it. Or that's why I say like a shoe or a bag is just, or a coat. To me, is always worth the investment. What's that thing in your closet
that you were like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm buying this, but then you've worn it a million times and you're so glad that you did?
You want to laugh? A huge vintage Yves Saint Laurent Marabou coat.
What color?
I've worn it like literally like 100 times. It's like black and white Marabou, and it's like I've worn it. I've recently been busting it out, and then like it'll sleep for a couple of years, and then it'll come back out.
It'll sleep? It sleeps.
You got to put your clothes to sleep sometimes. They have to take like a 2-year nap. And then you bring them back out, and it's like they're new all over again.
I love that.
Everyone needs a nap, you guys, even clothes. My bags, are you kidding me? They go to sleep for like years.
Is there anything that you're starting to think like maybe I should bring this bag out again? Like maybe it's time for this blah, blah, blah. What is that
100%.
thing? What have you been delving into? Reconsidering Old Tom Ford?
Okay, I've never reconsidered Tom Ford. Tom Ford is considered every day of my life. Forever. There is no re. He is considered forever. From his very first collection, from every piece I've ever had from Tom, it is like in its holy place in my closet, and it gets taken out when I know it can't get ruined. But funny point is I did start to carry recently the original clutches from his Tom Ford Gucci collection with, and his YSL collection with the horns on it.
Yes.
And I was like, yes. And it made me so happy.
It's kind of like seeing an old friend again.
Right?
Right?
It's a totally old friend, and now we're school parents together, which is even more funny.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. He looks so chic at school. I want everyone to know that he's chic 24/7. He's that perfect all the time.
Also a Virgo.
Also a Virgo. That's how we fell in love. Yep.
Okay, another question. Who are your top 3 fashion influencers currently?
I love me some Chriselle Lim.
She's wonderful.
She's a sweetheart. I love, who do I love? There's a lot, actually. I love Caroline Vreeland. She's a sweetheart and a friend. I love Rocky Barnes.
I love that she has so many pictures of herself eating pasta.
Right. And by the way, I'm going to tell you something. I've eaten with her. She eats all of it. It's for
happy.
real. She eats.
It's
I
like
don't know where it goes.
Like
She'll tell you where it goes, but like it goes to only the good places. But I would say I love Rocky Barnes. I love Chriselle. God, there's a whole bunch I really love right now. But yeah, they're crushing it. I'm watching them all over Paris now. I love Olivia Colpo. She's great. You know,
cool.
Living the dream.
Okay, another question. What is your favorite piece of clothing or shoes you own, and what is the story behind it? Besides that coat that's coming out again.
That is too hard.
Come on, it's fire. You can pick one thing.
God.
Jewelry?
Yeah, I was going to say, let me go to jewels. I'm going to say this ring on my finger. Because this was my second ring, and this was the one I got when my first son was born. And this one meant even more to me because we were, I think, 15 years married and had our first son, something around that. But I think, Roger looked at me and was like, after what I just saw, you deserve this. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. I thought he was going to get me like a nameplate necklace with our son's name on it. This was great. And it makes me really happy every day that I wear it.
Do you wear it every day?
Every day, to the supermarket and everything. I feel like you should dress for Whole Foods or whatever market you go to the same way you would for anything else.
I have a theory, which is that you never run into anyone when you look fabulous.
True story.
So my way of protecting myself from running into ex-boyfriends or like mean girls is to try and
always
put
look
together.
Yes.
Because it's the day that I'm like, dirty and messy and gross that I'll run into someone with their like fabulous new whatever.
Totally.
Because it just never happens.
By the way, that's a really good theory, Hill. I like that.
I mean, it's true. Like, you get a blowout. Do you run into anyone
Never.
you know? No, it's
Never.
just you enjoying your own hair.
When
and
you
that's
are
fine
looking your best, honestly, I would say Joey and I, who Hillary's also very close with, Joey used to be like, your hair looks epic right now. And meanwhile, we're doing like Chinese food and movie night. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Me, you, and Roger are going to enjoy my hair tonight. That's really cool. But that's such a good point. And
it makes me feel in control of it anyway. And even the semblance of control is a beautiful thing at times.
It is. I agree with that.
Okay, one last question.
Yes.
How do you think social media is changing the way brands operate, and how can fashion brands make the most of social media?
Oh my God.
I think that's really important
too.
Because like a cool brand, like when you start, there are certain brands that I follow who just understand social, and I feel such a deeper connection to said brands, and I just like, I will do anything for them and tag them and love them in a different way because they're really giving me like point of view and lifestyle as opposed to just
no, you're 100%
here's a girl
right.
in a skirt.
I think that if you don't pay attention to utilizing, I don't like to use the word using, but utilizing social media for your brand or your business or both, I think you're really missing something. I really do. And I think to your point, the more genuine, and in my opinion, the more less produced the social is, I'm more connected. I want to own that. I want to see that. I want to be in whatever they're selling to me, whether it's food, whether it's, you know, shoes, whether it's like when I watch Charlotte Tilbury doing makeup on her Instagram,
so
I want to jump through, and I've known her for 100 years, and she is exactly who she is on her social. And she's like, darlings, all you have to do to get this eye, and like, you know that if you do that, you're gonna get that eye, you know? And you wanna buy every single thing in that thing. So I feel like for me, social has changed the game for brand, for business. I think, like I said earlier, I think using it in the best way, not abusing it, but using it and staying true to who you are, staying clear on your message, and showing your followers like who you are, right? And I think some brands are trying to navigate what is their social media language. Do they hire influencers? Do they use people that work there? Do they use themselves? Do they use models? Do they, you know, do they just use flat imagery? Do they do constant videos? It's like, I think everybody's trying to find their best voice in social media. And I don't think there is a set, exact way to do it at all. I think you have to really find it. And a lot of it's trial and error, too.
I think it's always evolving, much like you.
Always evolving, much
and
like
with that,
you.
we're done.
And with that, we are done. You have to always evolve. You have to be willing to change with the times.
And that's one thing that you, Rachel Zoe, are very good at.
As are you, my friend.
So,
as are you, my friend.
Well, thank you for sitting down and talking to me.
This was so fun.
Thank you guys
Thanks
for being
for
a part of
having
this.
me.
I hope you liked it. It's like I'm applauding you all.
Thanks, guys.